So at my current company, I've given probably 50 or 60 MAPS interviews. That stands for math and problem solving. And I'm going to teach you some tips that I think are good for a candidate to do, and probably tell you about some bad things that I don't think are so good when a candidate does. I'm going to do that on my way to In and Out. The first thing I'd say that's pretty important is to have a camera and be friendly. All these interviews nowadays are pretty much online through Zoom. When a candidate has a camera and you can see their face and you can see them work through the problem, you can see them, smile back and just be friendly overall. That definitely helps your perception of the candidate. I'm pretty sure I'm probably a little bit easier on candidates like that, and I think other people are too. So, first step, just have a camera, be a friendly guy or girl. The next one. So we've chit chatted for a few minutes, and I'm going to ask you the first question. And so I'm going to say, "Oh, what's 5 plus 5?" And one thing I like is when a candidate quickly reiterates the question to me, just to confirm that they're paying attention and listening to me. And also, actually think it's kind of good for the candidate too. If they spend 10 seconds saying, "Well, you asked me, here's 5 over here and 5 over there, and what happens when I put the two together?" That's what you're asking me, right? When the candidate thinks through the question from a sort of broad perspective like that, it gives them 10 or 15 seconds to think it through as they explain it to me. And I think that helps the candidate to focus on what matters in the problem, because it is easy sometimes to get sidetracked and go in the wrong direction. The next one I'd say, and this is a pretty important one, is to think out loud, to communicate with me. Just keep me in the loop with what you're thinking, right? If a candidate goes silent and starts to think about how they want to answer the question, or they want to think about how to solve the question, that's not super telling for me, right? You could be going silent and being the biggest genius in the world thinking of this and that, but I don't really know where you are in solving the problem. And if you get stuck, I can't help you because you haven't communicated to me where you are in the problem. And so just thinking out loud, it could totally be spitballing dumb ideas, it doesn't matter. But if you're just thinking out loud and communicating to me, then I can know where you are, I can follow along much easier, and then I can help you if you get stuck. So I'd say that's a really big one. And another one is to ask questions. It's totally fine to ask questions. It could be, random formulas you don't remember. I'm never going to mark someone off if they don't remember a formula, because maybe you haven't been in school for 10 years or 20 years. I'm not going to I'm not going to assume you remember every little formula from back when you were a kid. And so feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask for advice. This will help you get unstuck. This will help the interview just go a little bit more smoothly in general. I'd say another one is, hey, good, how about you? Could I get 2 double doubles protein style with grilled onions and fries? And that's it. Yeah. Cool, thank you. Okay. Usually it's fine if a candidate doesn't have any kind of screen sharing device, or sharing a piece of paper that I can see them writing down on, but it's always helpful. And so if a candidate communicates with me at every little step of the way as they're writing through these problems on their own notepad that I can't see, that's usually good enough, but it always is nice if I can see how you're working through a problem. I think that in that case, you don't necessarily need to be as verbally communicative throughout the interview for me to follow along, because I can follow along with what you're writing. All right, next little tip is to follow the rules. So, for the interviews I give specifically, some of the rules I'll lay down in the beginning are that you cannot use a calculator. Sometimes candidates will break that rule. They will just have a calculator at their desk and they'll just pull out a calculator, halfway through the interview, and it's not like that big of a deal. But if you can't remember simple rules like that, especially if the candidate does it multiple times, which has happened before, um, that's like not the best sign, and it's gonna make you come off a little bit more sloppy, like you can't follow simple instructions, or maybe you are trying to hide the fact that you're not very good with basic arithmetic, and you're gonna use the calculator as a crutch. I'm not really sure, but um, I'd say follow the rules, which is kind of a dumb one, but it's one that you should remind yourself of when you're getting started. Another one is to take a hint. And when I mean a hint, I mean like a literal hint. If you're stuck on a problem and I give you a hint like, "Oh, what if you approach it like this and use, a square instead of a triangle or whatever?" And the candidate's like, "No, no, I think a triangle will work out better," then I don't know what to say. I mean, I've gone through these interviews a lot. I've asked this question a million times. If I'm giving you a piece of advice, you should take it, right? If you very quickly take my hint as truth, that it's actually a good hint that I'm helping you out, not trying to throw you off, then again, it'll make the interview a lot smoother and a lot cleaner, because you're just getting to the solution a lot faster. Okay, a couple more. This one, kind of a broad, general one that I guess goes along a little bit with the first one of having a camera and being friendly, but is to just stay positive. If halfway through the interview you feel like you're bombing the interview like crazy, don't worry about it. Just just stay positive, stay calm, stay chill. Everything is fine. You know, you could totally bomb one or two questions and be totally fine. I could still give you a passing grade. I also think it says something about a candidate if they can totally bomb one question and then come back and really do well on another question. You know, we're grading lots of different categories of your abilities here. We're grading your communication, your collaboration, and then as well as different aspects of your math and problem solving. And as you know, the interviewer, it's kind of my job to get the best performance as possible out of you. And so if you bomb a question, I'm still going to be rooting for you and still trying to make you do as best as you possibly can. And so keep that in mind, because that's going to be across all types of interviews. Is the interviewer wants to get the they want to see the best performance as possible, and they're going to help you to do that if they're good at interviewing. At the end of the interview, you're usually going to be given some time to ask questions, and ask some questions. Don't ask no questions. You could even ask about the interview itself. It doesn't matter. Just talk to me. You know, it could be about what I do at the company, about what you've done in the past, what you see yourself doing at this company. It could be anything. Just chit chat and be genuinely curious. Hopefully, you're interviewing for jobs that you think are cool and at cool companies doing cool things, and you have a natural curiosity and interest in it. And so ask some questions about it, you know? Just chit chat with me. Those last couple minutes, getting a good, friendly impression from you is going to help me probably give you a slightly better score, maybe. I mean, those last impressions are important, and you know, if we have a great interview and then you shut down at the end and don't want to ask me any questions, don't want to show some genuine curiosity, then it's it's just not going to come off super good. Remember, interviews, you know, they're not they're not luck. They're practice. You know, maybe you get an unlucky interviewer who kind of sucks, but if you apply to 10 jobs and at each of those jobs you go through, you know, 3 interviews, that's 30 interviews, and on average, it's not going to be luck. Just remember that. Just prepare, practice, be very conscious about what you're doing, and it'll work out for you. Maybe I'll do another one of these little car conversations. I love an excuse to go grab some In-N-Out. Although, to be honest, I hate the drive-through, but it was a pretty short line today. I got lucky.
Hi there, do you have two double doubles and a fry?
Yeah.
Any ketchup?
Yeah. Could I get like 3 or 4? Thank you. Jesus. All right, I've got my food. I think that concludes it. See you guys later.